Welcome. I'm Lindsay Bridges from Charlotte Center for Mindfulness, and I'm glad that you are here. Before we move into our meditation practice tonight, I just want to acknowledge how challenging things are in our world this evening, around our nation, around our world, and really open us to setting our intention that this act of taking this time, this space to ground ourselves with a mindful, strong heart awareness, that we do this to be of service for this world and do this so that we are more available to meet the world as it is. So, just setting that as an intention to begin with the meditation. And if you're new with us, what we will do is have a little bit of standing practice, some sitting meditation, and then I have a sharing after that. So I am going to say good evening to Lakshmi and Terry. I am very glad to see that both of you are here, and to anyone else here live with us now or watching the recording later. We're glad that you're practicing with us. So we're going to begin with just a little bit of standing practice. I invite you to find whatever posture, whatever place that you're best supported for that. So to begin our standing practice, I invite you to bring your hands in front of your heart. Offer a few nice deep breaths in and out. Allow the awareness to drop through the whole body, mind, and heart. Connecting with gravity, the earth below, the whole of the earth supporting us in this moment now. And again, how do you tap into heart intention? That this practice be of service for a world so desperately in need. People willing to connect with strong heart, strong compassion, strong well-being for ourselves and each other, all of us everywhere. Breathing in and breathing out. In breath, drawing arms up towards the ceiling. Out breath, releasing down. So the in breath, we reach high. Out breath, release. In breath, reach. Out breath, explore this letting go. Really allowing the awareness to move through the body, mind, and heart. Feeling into the motion. One more. And release. And taking a moment to pause here. Feeling that simple stretch, kind of energy, how it might stir the energy in the body, shift things up. Hands in front of the heart. Breathe in, breathe out. Next energy, reaching high. Next in breath, reaching high. Out breath, leaning to one side. In breath, back to midline, out breath, the other side. So really make this movement yours. Like if there's something else that would feel good as you do this, find out what that might be for you. Make it big or small, one more both sides. Listening to what actually feels good. Reaching high and releasing. Again, a couple of nice in and out breaths as we pause here. Back in this mountain pose where we allow a rooted connection down to the earth below. Allow an energy from the earth to lift us skyward. Feeling into the life energy, the life force present in this body, mind, and heart. For this next movement, hands in front of the heart. Breathe in, release. In breath, opening the hands wide. Out breath, folding. In breath, opening. Out breath, folding. Again, getting really curious. Your own breath, your own pace. What feels good to this body? What can you do to actually nurture and nourish this body? These simple movements. Knowing every bit of the universe is worth taking care of. That includes you. Last one. Open and release. Feel into that intention to let even these simple movements be an act of care for our whole. Opening the feet a little more than hips width apart. Hands come to one side. In breath. Reach up. Out breath. Release. Finding what is a right way of exploring this movement for you. Two more. Last one. Release. The other side. Last one. And release. And just kind of shake it out. The other energy just needs a little bit of movement. Letting it go. One last movement. This is one I've done several times now with y'all. Recently learned. It's very helpful for me. It's a way of energetically letting my intention come into attunement or alignment with kindness. When we talk about kindness in this practice, we're never talking about a soft, sweet, sappy sort of kindness. We're talking about a kindness that has a real strength to it, has a courage, has spine. The kind of kindness that allows us to look into the face of what's difficult. and open our hearts and minds in a way that allows us to be useful for our own selves and for each other. So, this practice is a way of attuning to that strength and availability, that capacity that is inborn within us and possible all around us for kindness. So, taking a moment if you want to just let your hands rest on your belly, feet are a little more than hips width apart, knees are soft, tailbones lightly tucked. Feel into a couple of breaths in and out. And as a way of drawing in that energy right into our own being, we're going to breathe kindness up from all around us. On the out breath, fill the whole body, mind, and heart. So, in whatever way it's helpful for you to understand this movement, that allows some tuning into that strong kindness and opening yourself to it. Let yourself explore what that might look like to you. Sometimes it might be a deep felt sense what kindness means in this moment. Just tending to this body, mind, and heart. Sometimes it's not very available. And the tuning in we do is just with our intention. Our intention is to open up towards this field, even if I'm not feeling it. And that intention is enough. One more. That willingness to tune in this direction is in and of itself an act of kindness. Letting the hands come back to resting wherever that's comfortable for you. Maybe it's on your heart, in your belly, wherever you wish. And then once we have found some attunement within ourselves, this quality of care and compassion and kindness, then we take the opportunity to intentionally share it outward, everywhere, with a world in such desperate need. This is one way we can take this moment to offer care. So for this practice, we draw up from inside ourselves and then open, sharing it outward. Drawing it up, opening, sharing it outward. Again, even if you're not so much feeling some felt tone of compassion, just noticing that intention to offer care to the world is an act of compassion, right in and of itself. And that's enough. And one friend, name that being able to drop into a field where she knew people were praying for each other all over the world gave her a sense of grounding and strength. So taking this moment to be that person someone else can draw from, knowing that we are here sharing this energy outward. Last one. And come back to standing, hands resting wherever that's comfortable for you. Finding the breath in and out. If there's any other movement that would be useful for your body, mind, and heart, allowing yourself to take that moment to stretch or move in whatever way is helpful for you. And then coming back to sitting. Taking a moment to adjust your seat. Find a posture that best supports your body. Allow yourself to rest in feeling the support, the chair, the floor, cushion, bench, the earth below. This felt sense of connecting with gravity to all that is here. Every cell of this body, every atom of this body, interacting in a physical way with the whole of the earth. Is through the strength of kindness that we begin to have the courage to meet ourselves just as we are. And through that willingness to have the courage to meet ourselves just as we are, we learn the courage to meet the whole of our world and all who are in it, just as they are too. So, this time that we spend learning an intimate listening, befriending listening inward, this is worthwhile time. This is time that helps us understand what it takes to bring a wise compassion outward to everything around us. So, starting right here, what's it like inside for you in this body, mind, heart, in this moment now? Sometimes it's helpful to break it down into pieces. Notice your thinking mind. Is it caught up with a lot of energy, a lot of charge, tones, distraction, caught up in this story or that story, this happening or that happening? What's it like to take this moment to acknowledge and validate? Of course, whatever's going on in the mind is just going on in the mind right now, just as it is. And it's possible to step into this deeper awareness that has the capacity to befriend and care just as we are. No need to change or fix anything, just a willingness to see in this moment. Body, mind, heart, just like this right now. What's this for you? And what happens when you drop the story and come to the impact of the story on the body? How might that help open up the door of compassion and care when we understand how our thoughts resonate in this body, in this heart, in a way that if we don't take care of it, physically can cause us harm. And certainly does no one around us any good either. So, really pay attention not just to what the thoughts are, maybe not even so much to what the thoughts are in this moment now, but how these thoughts are impacting this body, mind, and heart. Notice what emotions here. Notice how this emotion sits in the body, mind, and heart. When we do this, we don't just look for the difficult and the hard. Wherever that is, it is important to name it, validate it, really get, of course, with these infinitely sensitive nervous systems. Of course, it's like this right now. And let yourself also notice that there's more to you always than the difficult. Search out what in the body might be pleasant, might be neutral. And then use those places. Like for me, my toes, they generally don't get involved with whatever emotional storm I might be having unfold. And so being able to just feel a sort of normal, neutral, cellular energy in my toes. It's useful to always know that there's more to me than just a difficult sensation unfolding. Take the time to find out where that is for you. Take the time to connect with the breath. Notice this faithfulness of breath to life, another resource of strength for us. Take the time to draw up some gratitudes. Really allow yourself to be aware of things you're grateful for that are here. They don't have to be big, but using gratitude as a grounding strength. Grateful for the breath, the air that I have to breathe, the roof that I have over my head, the capacity to join in this way with you all. Whatever other gratitudes might be present for you, allow yourself to feel into them. And notice what happens in your nervous system when you really pull these to mind. What ways might that be useful for your nervous system? Knowing that tuning towards the intention of kindness is what gives us strength and courage. How do we begin to intentionally bring forth that quality in this moment now of practice? This act of care, maybe starting it just for yourself. Is this the only body, mind, and heart we have to do good work in this world? So it's worth taking care of. Maybe it's just the intention meeting this moment with kindness. Maybe the phrases of loving kindness are helpful. Whatever is most useful for you. If you want some suggestions for some phrases, make them simple. May I be happy. May I be safe. May I know how to care for myself with joy and ease. Then again, drawing from that image my friend shared, another mindfulness teacher, opening up to the field of prayers all over the world for our well-being. So like to join in that praying, whatever way that word is useful for you. Sending this compassion and care out everywhere. Being that person that someone else can lean back in on. In this moment, knowing that the energy of prayer for us all is happening. May we all be happy. May we be safe. May we care for ourselves and each other with joy and ease. May we have compassion and understanding for ourselves and each other, just as we are. And may all of these qualities of the heart give us the strength to meet the world with healing action and care. May we be well. May we be well. Really nice to sit with you all tonight. Um, as those of you who used to come to our in-person sessions, which someday will happen again, someday, you know that this is the time that we had to greet each other, to offer gratitudes, to share with each other. So it's kind of sweet that at least we have this chat box. And if you want to write a greeting or a gratitude or anything in the chat box, feel free to do that. And I just want to acknowledge that In addition to Lakshmi and Terry, we have Lauren. Lauren, so nice that you're practicing with us. Glad that you're here. And Sharon, good evening, everyone. Glad to be with you. We're glad to be with you too. So I'm going to share a gratitude. And Lakshmi, grateful for this time of peace. That was actually going to be my gratitude too. It's really helpful to take this time to center, rebalance, reground, re-meet my best intention. And I appreciate that there are others who want to share in that with me and appreciate being able to sit here with you all. So thank you. So I have a offering for tonight. If you have been with us recently, you know we've been looking at Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, which are be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally. The third one, don't make assumptions, is where we are now. The fourth is always do your best. This third one, don't make assumptions. I was really grateful when I recognized where we were in this cycle, considering all of the things going on in our nation over this last week. This one feels particularly useful to draw out tonight in light of what's happening for us all here. And before I open it up to the agreement of not making assumptions, just feel really strongly that we need to pause at the beginning here and name George Floyd. Name everyone like him who has ever had any experience of our structural and our institutional forms of violence. Pause for a moment with compassionate awareness for anyone, anywhere who has experienced violence. And really invite us to orient ourselves with an intention that our practice together be useful in this world, that this grounding for ourselves is what we use to meet the world with greater care and compassion. So, in whatever way is useful for you, let's just take a moment to sit with all of the things unfolding in our world and offer it some care. Thank you. So, if any growth and healing is going to be possible for us, the first place to start is how might we be contributing to the problems. Here's where the agreement of don't make any assumptions is so powerful. I don't know about you, but the news that I came in contact with over this last year, over this last week, really made it clear our painfully powerful habit of making assumptions about others. It's even actually become an entertainment pastime in our culture to bash and take down others on the basis of assumptions. And inevitably, these assumptions are judgmental and therefore a source of deep hurt and suffering. We don't get that we don't get what's going on for others. When I was putting together this talk, I actually went online to try to track down a beautiful quote: "Be kind, everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." What I found in trying to track down that quote, however, was a Google page full of different versions of walking in someone else's shoes. And what was really interesting to me is how hard many of these were to read. For example, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird. While this is clearly trying to be helpful, can you hear that tragically wrong assumption right there in the heart of these words? That we actually have the capability to climb into another person's skin and walk around in it? True compassion starts with instead recognizing what we don't know. We can't truly know what life is like for another person unless we've lived their life, which we haven't, and we never will. We can only live ours. This is true even for the people closest to us. I remember when I first got that my assumptions about what life was like for my daughter were wrong. And where I was assuming I knew and I got what things were like for her, I was causing her pain by not hearing from her what I was missing. So if we can't even get it for the people that are closest to us, guess how much harder it gets for people that are further away. This getting it gets harder and harder any layers we add of race, gender, economic difference, any layers we add of history, of societal trauma or not based on race, gender, economic difference. Something as straightforward as feeling like I can trust that if I call the police, they will come to help me, that can have vastly different meaning and consequences for others. And all of these different formative life experiences mean, of course, we can't ever really know what it's like for another person. Here's another quote I found in my search. People will never truly understand something until it happens to them. While there is some helpful wisdom here, there's still the fact that we can share a very similar outward event and still have radically different experiences of that event. I know my own experience with breast cancer. This is absolutely true. My experience was very different than many other women I've talked to. I can't make assumption that I know what it's like for another woman to have breast cancer. I have no idea because I know our journeys vary so widely. So I actually need to open my mind and heart to listen and to learn without judgment and without assumptions that I get it. If I truly want to understand what's going on for someone else in their life journey. So our assumptions are made from a place of thinking that we understand something we actually don't. And a big key to seeing when we're on this terrain is when we find ourselves reactively judging, blaming, or shaming someone else, anyone else. So you might then ask, what about when I am right, though? What about when the situation is so awful that it actually does deserve judging, blaming, or shaming? I have to say, what I've read around the white liberal anger at Amy Cooper this week has been a very helpful place to understand the destructiveness of that righteous blame and how this kind of scapegoating blocks us off from looking at how we too might be part of the problem. For example, if I, as another white woman, fall into the trap of Amy Cooper bashing, then I am missing where I too carry seeds of pain and tragedy right within me. As long as my energy is consumed at being angry at her, then I'm not looking for the roots and the seeds of racism that are within me. That righteous anger makes it easier for me to prop myself up on a pedestal, look down on others, instead of being willing to engage in the hard work, the hardest work I can do, which is to see and root out, best as I can, all the unconscious racial bias I carry. So, this kind of assumption that we often make that the problem belongs to others and not me, that actually keeps us from doing the true healing work that our world desperately needs all of us to do, all of us to reckon with. Of course, we need to call out bad behavior. That's not what this is about. This is about not calling it out in a way that I take a pass. It's learning to do it in a way that the act of calling out the bad behavior becomes something that helps and not adds. So, what about cases when people are behaving with violence? All the kinds of violence that are present happening right now: police violence, protest violence, violence towards people wearing a mask, violence towards people not wearing a mask, any other kinds of forms that you can think of. I remember a very wise teacher I listened to many years ago saying, it's easier to hate than to try to understand. Like, really take that in. Is this true for you? It's easier to hate than to seek to understand. That's a useful quote to sit with. Here's what I've come to learn about violence through my own personal life. I've had some times where I have lost myself inappropriately, painfully, hurtfully, inappropriately. Before this happened to me, I thought that only happened to others. I thought that there was no way I too could possibly be that kind of person who would partake in or even consider that kind of violence. Never crossed my mind. What I learned from these incidents is that there's no pedestal here for me from which I can judge others. Push me far enough, and I can assure you that there is definitely an edge over which my training, my ability to remain grounded, I lose it. Anyone who doesn't believe this about themselves likely hasn't been pushed far enough yet to know their edge. That's heartbreaking to understand about yourself. Really heartbreaking. And it's so useful to know the truth of this for us. This is where our compassion, our insight, our wisdom, our right action begin to have real possibilities of arising. This is what gives us a powerful way to meet the world as it is without falling into a painful trap of righteous blame or shame of others. When I can understand that the seeds for violence exist in me as well, then compassion becomes the only wisdom forward, the only way forward. And here's the beauty and the joy of this practice. At the most basic level, it just feels better to be able to stand in a strong, compassionate heart with clear care for ourselves and each other than it does to be lost in that reactive, assumptive fog of judgment, fear, and blame. Everything I've learned in this mind heart practice helps me do that more, helps me work with and diminish those seeds of violence and wrong that I know I have in me too. This is like the sweet relief and healing place this practice naturally brings. And when we can bring this up in the most difficult times, then we have the possibility of understanding what it radically means to be safe in all conditions, to be grounded and well in all conditions, to care for ourselves with joy and ease, right in the heart of whatever's going on. So, one last note I want to make, just because it's so important, I just want to repeat this, be totally clear. Being willing to understand, look for the roots of our bad behaviors in no way is about condoning them. It's rather about learning how to tap into a wisdom that orients us towards right actions that can help prevent this kind of behavior from continuing to unfold. As James Baldwin said, the questions which one asks oneself begin at last to illuminate the world and become one's key to the experience of others. One can only face in others what one can face in oneself. On this confrontation depends the measure of our wisdom and compassion. So let's sit for a moment. Taking a moment to acknowledge and validate whatever's coming up for you in this moment now, without judgment, without any assumptions of blame or shame. What is it like to orient in a way that our deepest seeing also becomes our deepest healing? Thank you. So before we close, I'm going to make a couple of announcements. I still have the upcoming Intro to Mindfulness class. It's going to be on Wednesday evening, 6 to 7:15, Zoom, online Zoom class, and the first one will be June 15th. The sign up is on our website, and would love to have anyone join in. If you know others that might welcome an opportunity for this class, please share this information. Also, our podcast is now up and active. It takes me a couple of days after the the recorded sessions to get it to the podcast, but I'm getting them up weekly now, and it seems like some people have been appreciating being able to download and listen at your convenience instead of having to be online or on a computer. So that opportunity is also there. We have Aaron Less on Monday nights at 7. We have our Tuesday night here, Wednesday morning 9:30. Jude Johnson 5:30 on Thursday nights, and then I have a 9 o'clock on Friday morning. Other than our Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning, all the others are short offerings, 10, 15 minutes, just a chance to connect, drop in with the intention of self-care. So hope that you will join any of us. And all of these offerings are freely given. If you'd like to help support our financially support our mission, please see our website, and we appreciate any donations. Um, from here, if you would like, I would love to see you in the Zoom room. If you haven't joined in our post drop in Zoom room, it's very informal. It's kind of sweet. We just have a chance to see each other, and meet and greet and share a little more around practice as it's happening for us. So, would love to have you there. As soon as I sign off, I will also put the Zoom link in the discussion box for this stream, because I know some people have a hard time getting it off chat. So if you can't get it off chat, just be patient, refresh the YouTube page, and it'll show up in just a moment if you give me a moment to put it in there. If you are done for the night, know that I am sending you good wishes for the rest of your evening. If you want to join in the Zoom room, I look forward to seeing you in just a minute. So let's pause for a very short closing. Take a moment to just breathe in and breathe out. Find some way to acknowledge the life and the vitality, the energy, and all of these infinite capacities, possibilities, already right here in this body, mind, and heart. It's one of the most beautiful characteristics of mindfulness practice. It says that we're already whole. What we need is already here. And then what we're doing with our practice is learning to open to this place of wholing, where healing has already happened. May we all be well, all beings everywhere. Thank you.